So when you look at jobs and skills, fundamentally, there are two axes here you'll see. One is the wages on the y-axis, which goes from low wages to highest wages. And on the x-axis, the risk of automation. So on the left side, imagine that as the lowest risk of automation. And then on the right is the highest risk of automation of jobs. And so when we mapped all of the jobs in the skills that are relevant for what's happening in the world, what you see here is obviously in the top left quadrant, highest job wages with lowest risk of automation. And then on the right side, the bottom right, is the lowest wages with the highest risk of automation. And so when you look at some of these jobs and also look at like the kinds of education these jobs are needed. So when you have no formal education, which is the red bubbles, you generally fall into low wage, high risk of automation. And if you get a high school diploma, that's sort of the next level, but you're still in that bucket more or less. And when you get to post-secondary non-degree, you're starting to get a little bit better, but once you get a college degree, that's when your wage premium increases, your ability and opportunities increase many-fold, and the risk of automation decreases quite a bit. But even there, you have to choose kind of wisely, right? And so now, what did COVID do to this, especially even more? And so we said, well, what are the jobs that are even more vulnerable because of COVID crisis? Kind of tried to change the x-axis a little bit. And so when you look at this, once again, a lot of jobs that are at risk are at the bottom right. Retailers, if most of the consumption behavior is going to move to online and e-commerce, retail stores are going to see devastating closures, and you're probably already seeing in the news. And what happens to people who are retail clerks or sales professionals in those shops and stores? Food services, so nobody knows when this crisis, COVID, is going to really end until there's a vaccine, until there's an ability for all of us to kind of feel safe, to kind of mingle with each other on a consistent basis. We're going to be very guarded in kind of how we approach the things. And so even when restaurants open, even when some of these food establishments are going to open, they cannot be open to 100% capacity. They have to maintain social distance. They have to maintain all these things. So that means there's going to be another layer of unemployment that's going to continue to emerge there, but then also means that a lot of restaurants could see closures. And arts and entertainment, right? Who's going to any live events right now? Movies and things like that. So same thing. So anything that requires a lot of the physical connections and physical interactions are going to face a decent amount of churn. Now, on the other hand, the things that are going to continue, going to do better, obviously technical, information management, education side. Education, believe it or not, like education has gone through a lot of pain over the last 10, 15 years, but in terms of funding and a lot of that stuff, but digital transformation of education is going to revive a lot of universities. Now, with that said, there's also going to be a temporary disablement, because once again, a lot of this education is also physical, face-to-face in nature. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where it all ends up.